Hello, everyone. Welcome to Podcast by the Fire, week number 4. This Podcast by the Fire will be serving as the podcast for the week of January 21st to January 27th. I'm your host, Ilias Leonidas, and this week's topic, because we are still playing catch-up and I'm trying to get this to where we do it on the actual week that these events have occurred, or after that, this will kind of be a free place topic. This topic doesn't quite exactly coincide with this week, but it definitely kind of wraps up some stuff that happened earlier in the same month and some stuff that will happen a day after this time frame had ended. I'm recording this on February 8th right now, hence the drastic lateness of this recording, but it's not too far off because the next day on January 28th, Metro Exodus was announced as a time exclusive for the Epic Games Store. Along with this, earlier in the month, I believe it was January 8th, they also announced that Division 2, a game by Ubisoft, would be a Epic Store exclusive as well. So, therefore, our discussion or our topic for this week will be timed exclusives, or exclusivity in general in the PC gaming world and in the greater gaming world as a whole. Now, exclusivity is nothing new. We see it with consoles all the time. We see it with the PlayStation, with Xbox, with Nintendo. Exclusivity in that sense, and especially on console platforms, usually comes when companies such as Microsoft or Sony own certain smaller developers or have a specific development team within their own company that create games that are specifically designed for their consoles or their platforms. Nintendo does the same thing as well with all of its Mario games and its different Nintendo titles. So this is nothing new for consoles. In the PC gaming world, exclusivity is not a uncommon thing. We have kind of a variety of PC markets. We have Origin, we have Battle.net, the Bethesda launcher, whatever that mess is, and a couple other smaller gaming services like GOG, and I can't remember the other one. And then we have the big boy, which is Steam. Now, when it comes to exclusivity, most of the time, the only exclusivity comes with platforms such as Battle.net or Origin, and that is those are specifically designed PC platforms to release game studios' own self-made titles and to originally maybe try to serve as a competitor to Steam, though in reality, Battle.net and Origin are nothing near the size or capacity of Steam. They just kind of serve as a platform for, in Origin's case, EA to release its games on PC and kind of control its own sales and take in all of its own profits from the sales. And for Battle.net, StarCraft 2, Overwatch, and other games, it's Blizzard having their own platform as well, having their own exclusivity. When it comes to Steam, there isn't as much exclusivity. Most of the games that are on Steam usually can be found anywhere else, or they're only found on Steam because Steam is kind of the platform for smaller games to get noticed, because Steam is kind of the de facto PC gaming market. It's the largest one by far, and at least in my opinion, has the best features and has kind of developed into what it is today. It's not perfect. Yeah, nothing ever is, and I'm not saying there isn't things I wouldn't like to change to some extent, but overall, it's better than any other competitor out there right now. And that PC Steam market doesn't really have too much in the way of exclusivity, and hopefully it won't in the future. And that hopefully it won't in the future comes with what's going on with, unfortunately, Epic Games. Epic Games is Epic Games, for those of you who may not know, is the people that made Fortnite, and it's kind of being set up as the competitor to Steam, which, given Fortnite's success and Epic's deep pockets, along with the fact that Epic's owned by Tencent, a gigantic Chinese corporation that has very, very deep pockets and has a very big history on spending to outweigh or beat out its competitors without, necessarily innovation, but just throwing money at the problem. And oh my goodness, that was their decision. That was their decision and kind of their tactic with what they're going to do with the Epic Game Store, which makes me sad because I wasn't looking for a competitor for Steam, but Epic had a very, very clear idea. If they could be more innovative than Steam, and along with their price model that they've created, which they give a larger cut to the people that make the games, the developers, they could have kind of built a very well thought out platform that had features that were better and could rival Steam. Instead, they're going the exclusivity route. They're trying to bring kind of the core pillars or concepts that we see in console gaming with the PlayStation, the Xbox, and the Switch, thus Nintendo's products, to PC gaming in a much, much more structured format. And the way they're doing that is by doing kind of what the shittier tactics of some of the console makers do, which is these studios aren't really owned by them. They pay for the exclusivity of games. But Epic kind of has gone a step further, because usually what happens on consoles is studios, even if they don't own the people that are making certain games, they help fund the creation of that game itself. Them funding the creation of that game kind of justifies the reason why it becomes exclusive to their platform. But with Epic, they've really taken a darker path here. Epic has decided that utilizing exclusivity is going to be the way to combat Steam, which a lot of people, and myself included, thought one of the positives of having another competitor, Steam, is for the consumer, for the idea of having, greater competition, which would cause companies to need to be more innovative and make better products and appease us as the consumers more. Instead, Epic really has shown they don't want to play that game, and they just want to utilize the huge pockets they have with Fortnite and the huge Tencent company they have behind them to throw money to try to wrestle away market value and things from Steam. And how they're going to do that is by taking games that are already completely developed or completely made and near the completion, and then just throwing tons of money at developers or game studios who, this is not to really criticize them, they're not going to say no. These companies often are a lot smaller and they need the money, or even if they're larger, in the case of Ubisoft with The Division 2, they're still not going to reject that no, because ultimately they stand to make a ton of money from what Epic is promising to give them. Epic, I'm sure, is making deals that will make sure companies need to only sell maybe a fourth or a third of what they would normally sell on Steam, at least for now, because Epic can afford to give them huge checks to make those games come over to the Epic Game Store. By paying for that exclusivity, that means they block out competition for other people and other platforms, which the biggest one being Steam, and kind of the biggest bombshell, which I'll go over in the next week's podcast. Again, I'm recording all of these late. Podcast by the Fire number 5. That has to do with Metro Exodus. And Metro Exodus is really kind of what is wrong with this exclusivity idea that Epic has, and is really what's wrong with the idea of exclusivity in general. And the idea of this, you can buy games to be solely operated from your platform, specifically games you didn't help create, and you're just simply throwing tons of money on them. They announced with about 2 weeks ago till Metro Exodus will come out, that Metro Exodus will be exclusive to the Epic Game Store, which has created a fire buzz of backlash from the internet. Most of it, honestly, in my opinion, pretty justified because it's a very last minute move on the part of a developer and a publisher that has been promoting their game on Steam for a long time, and a very blatant move by Epic to wrest a very popular PC gaming series away from Steam by just making it unplayable on the Steam platform. It's a really shitty business plan, and it's gotten a lot of backlash, justifiably, like I said. And it makes me really worried because I have a feeling that this is how Epic and Tencent plan on going forward with this idea, with this kind of practice. They think the way to beat Steam is by having titles that people want and making sure that Steam cannot get them. AKA, what they want is kind of the console makers version of our modern gaming world, which sucks because I can't stand it. I don't own a PS4 right now, so I can't play the awesome looking new Spider-Man games or the God of War games, the newest God of War game, I should say. And that sucks. That exclusivity really sucks. But at least in those cases, those companies paid for these games ahead of time. What's making all of this even worse, and what's making this exclusivity even more disgusting when you look at it, is that these are deals with games that are well developed and almost near release, and Epic is trying to snipe them from the Steam platform and trying to create an unfair market for users. It's just basically holding hostage good games and good franchises to lure them to their platform, but not because they developed them, but because they have enough money to buy them out. And look, that's not to say I want Epic to fail. I wouldn't mind a competitor to Steam, like I've said, but this is just the absolute worst way to go about it, Epic. If you were developing your own game studios, if you're paying for these games in advance, or, for example, you were financing the 4th installment of the Metro series completely, the entire cost, that would be fine if you announced after this game Metro would become an exclusive to the Epic Game Store. I wouldn't like it, but ultimately you would be paying for the game, and it would be well in advance that everyone knows this is going on. Instead, you kind of tried to pull out the rug from a lot of gamers, and you're trying to really shoehorn or force people to go to your platform, which is a bad mistake because I don't think you understand PC gaming or PC gamers. If PC gamers are forced to do something, we're not going to do it. We're going to instead do the exact opposite and probably be pissed at you beyond belief, and that's what they're really experiencing. So I think this exclusivity is a really harmful and bad idea by Epic. Exclusivity exists in other markets in gaming, and I think those aren't really great, but they can be justifiable when they're paid for by the people that they're exclusive to. But Epic is just trying to snipe off games that are about to be released, and it's a really shady and shitty way to try to develop a platform. Instead of investing in the platform or investing in games they created to be exclusive to the platform, they're just trying to rob the gaming community of games and making sure that they're only available on their platform. And that's really kind of turned me off from the Epic Game Store. I'm not saying I won't for sure ever try out a game. There's a couple games right now, like the Hades game, that I look interesting to me, I'm not going to lie. I may cave and just try to get it. And I understand the business model for a lot of these developers. They're getting larger shares, so it's more of a reason to go over to Epic. But Epic, there's a right way to compete with Steam, especially in a gamers and a free-to-choice gaming market. And then there's the wrong way, and it's the way you've taken. Please don't shoehorn me into telling me how I should receive my games, and don't shoehorn in the idea of that if you have enough money to throw out something, it should be exclusive to your platform. What you should do is utilize the fact that you give better revenue shares to entice the developers and publishers of games to have games at lower cost. Like Metro Exodus is going to come out $50 on Epic instead of the $60 it would be on Steam. Why not do that still with games that you in advance pay for, not pull this really quick shit at the end here? Why not do that ahead of the time? Pass the saving on to the consumer, build up a lot of praise with the community, and also, build features and assets that are desperately needed on your platform because your platform isn't comparable to Steam, and exclusivity won't save you from having a lesser product. Only improving yourself and making yourself better in Steam with certain features and certain innovations will do that. This exclusivity, I think, will only lead to more animosity between you and the gaming industry if you at least continue to do this exclusivity in this kind of underhanded way. Well, that's just my 2 cents on all this. I wanted to keep these videos shorter. I'm sure I've been saying this past couple of videos of Podcast with a Fire. I'm trying to feel out how I want this series to be, and I want to see how many of you guys are like it, how interested you are, and I want to share my opinion. I think I'll always still do this series in some format, but I hope you're liking the shorter format, and I'm hoping I'm making a more coherent and kind of more shorter and bearable little argument here. Well, this has been Ilias Leonidas with Podcast by the Fire number 5. Talking about exclusivity. I'll see you and I'll talk to you in the next video. Ciao for now.